Hi, I'm with DECKED. Thanks for watching our features and benefits video. We've been working on this for about 40 months. We've been shipping. It took us almost 3 years of design and engineering work to get this out the door. The parameters that we had when we started working on it were, it obviously has to be a very functional unit. We're providing ergonomic access to folks with full-size pickup trucks. The product is quite easy to install. You need 5 easy tools to install it. Take about 2 hours. It's quite durable. It's weatherproof. We think it's affordable. Each of the drawers is customizable to accommodate whatever tools or toys that you want to put inside it. It ships freight. It weighs about 230, 250 pounds, depending on the length of the system. It comes in a nice, dense, stackable carton. And importantly to us, one, it's almost 100% recycled material. Number 2, the product is made almost entirely in Williams County, Ohio. And we've worked with an engineering firm in Detroit to get OEM-like performance parameters out of the thing. So with that, let's go into some more details about the product. Okay, so what is DECKED? It's a drawer storage system for full-size pickup trucks. The beauty of DECKED is that you can put 200 pounds in each of these weatherproof drawers, but you still have your bed. You can still use your truck bed, so you can still put 2,000 pounds on top. We've made it out of HDPE and steel, so there's about 70 pounds of steel in each system. The system weighs about 230 to 240 pounds, depending on whether you have a shorter system or a longer system. A really important design and engineering feature for us is that we never ask you to drill holes in your truck, so we only ever attach to the tie-downs, existing factory tie-downs in your truck. The other critical issue is we don't end up with a bunch of slop on the side because each product, each SKU, and we have 19 different parts to fit 19 different series trucks, is formed to fit the vertical sidewall of your truck. So you've got a small gap on the side to accommodate a spray and bed liner, but you don't have a big gap there to drop your tools down. So one of the things that's not obvious about the DECKED system that we wanted to disassemble the system to show you is the structure. So most of the time the structure is invisible because it's under the deck or it's just under the deck. So what we wanted to show you was the ammo cans, which sit in each corner, are actually structural members. They're doing 2 things. The first thing they're doing is holding up this C channel. And then the second thing they're doing is obviously holding up the deck parts. The opposite to the C channel would be the vert. So the vert is just an I-beam that runs front to back in the truck. So what we've got here is the ammo cans hold up the C channel, which is a .090 gauge steel. The vert, a big I-beam structural member. And those 2 parts in turn support the steel tubes which are in the deck. So this is a 6.5 foot system, so there's 7 steel tubes molded into this deck. In a short system there would be 6 of these tubes. So the beauty of that is you've got in the DECKED system, which is about 220 or 230 pounds, fully a quarter of that weight is steel. So anytime I'm standing up here on the deck, I'm no more than 10.7 inches away from steel, and that's why we've got a nice load rating with the product. Okay, as we reviewed earlier with the structure, we've got an I-beam, which we call a vert, that runs front to back in the truck here. Under here, we have that fairly heavy gauge steel C channel, which is held in place by the ammo cans in each corner. Those 2 elements, the C channel and this vert, in turn are supporting the lateral steel tubes that are running this way in the truck. The beauty of all that is, you know, this is 2,000 pounds, but more importantly, because when we say 2,000 pounds, we mean in Detroit 2,000 pounds. What I mean by that is, when Detroit tells you that your truck can handle a certain amount of weight, they say that it will really handle 3 times that amount vertically. So in this case, we can handle 6,000 pounds vertically. We can handle 4,000 pounds left to right and 2,000 pounds front to back for a moment in time. So when we talk about load rating at DECKED, we think about 3, 2, 1 because that's the valid way to rate the capacity of the truck. Okay, just want to spend a minute talking about the drawers themselves. The drawers roll on 4 wheels, so this is actually the cab side, or closest to the driver, these 2 wheels. Those wheels roll in a wheel channel on the vert, and then this big C channel we've been talking about. The tailgate side of the drawer has channels in the bottom or the underside of the drawer, and then in turn, that drawer rolls on these tailgate side wheels. One feature that we have that you should be aware of is that the wheel channel on the drawer, this is true whether you have a 5.5-foot system or 6.5-foot system, this wheel channel is 48 inches long. So the drawer can pull out 48 inches. It cannot pull out 72 inches. If it pulls out the whole way, we have something called an infinite moment arm, and we don't know how to deal with infinity. So, you know, just for those of you thinking about the product or selling the system, this is a 72-inch drawer. It has 48 inches of pull-out. On a shorter system, the drawer is 62 inches long, has the same pull-out extension. It's got a nice cast aluminum handle. It's easy to operate with one hand. You can put 200 pounds in the drawer, and it's designed to not hit your tailgate. Now, tailgates have a myriad of ramp angles, and the cables aren't always the same length, but the product is designed to not hit your tailgate. Okay, we just want to spend a second looking at something you don't typically see, which is just the underside of the deck part. There's obviously 2 halves in every system. The first thing is, this is actually a blank part that we have not yet formed. So this is what the part looks like when it comes out of our mold. We then form it to fit, form the sidewall to fit whatever series truck you've got. So an F-150, it's obviously got a different vertical sidewall than a General Motors truck or a Tundra might. So that's the first step. The second thing is we've talked about these steel tubes. These are galvanized steel tubes, 6 of them in a 5.5-foot system and 7 of them in a 6.5-foot deck system. They're oriented vertically, they're galvanized, and that's what's given us such a nice good deck load rating. So, third thing to be aware of is on each end of the deck, it's the same part left and right, there's a drip edge, and that's our first method of keeping water out of the drawers, at least on the ends. Lastly, parts made out of HDPE. It's got the maximum amount of UV inhibitors that we can get. It's about 3% UV inhibitors in this thing, and this ought to last many years. Okay, we're now on the other side of the deck. This would be the top side of the deck, the one you're more familiar with seeing. We also have 2 options for the decks. We have a set of core tracks which will recreate your tie downs, and then we have a T-track. The T-track is to accommodate Yakima or Thule accessories. In both the core tracks and the T-tracks, we've had those custom milled to match the location of the steel tubes in the deck part. So everywhere you see these dimples on the top of the deck, that indicates there's lateral steel tube. You can see we then match up the T-tracks or the core tracks that, as I said, are milled to match up to those steel tubes. In both cases, you can either orient this to the cab side or the tailgate side, whichever way you'd like to orient the tracks. Okay, now we're going to talk about how we attach the deck system to your truck. It's really just 2 parts. The philosophy here is that we're only going to attach to the OEM tie downs in your truck. We're never going to ask you to drill a hole in your truck. How we typically do that is that we have a steel J-hook. That J-hook comes in 6 different lengths depending on which series truck you have. And you can see how that is just affixing ourselves to the truck itself. The other side of that is now how do we affix the deck system into the J-hook and how do we receive it inside the deck system. Each of the ammo cans has multiple receptacles to receive the other end of the J-hook. So there's at least 3 locations. In the cab side, there's several locations. You'll get in your instructions, it'll tell you which receptacle to use. So you might use the most tailgate side, the most cab side, or the center one. And that would be true both for the cab side and the tailgate side. In some trucks, we'll have a special bracket. In a 04 to 14 F-150 short bed, the tie down is almost equal to the top of our deck height. In that case, we provide you a bracket. You replace the tie down with a steel bracket. And then in the cab side ammo can, we would attach to that special bracket. Same thing with the Tundra. The Tundra tie downs are quite high. We provide brackets to lower that, and then we use a fairly short J-hook in that instance. The last trucks that we have a special bracket for would be Super Duty. The cab side, same condition where we've got a tie down fairly high up, and we'll use a bracket to create ourselves a mounting point. And the new aluminum F-150 will also have some cab side brackets instead of J-hooks. But in most of the series, all 4 corners would be attached with the J-hook. Okay, we've talked about the features of the deck system. Now let's talk about the benefits. Why would you want to put one in your truck? The most obvious one is ergonomic storage is just a better way to store your tools. Lots of storage systems for trucks on the marketplace. Decked will keep your gear dry, it'll keep it secure, but most importantly, put 200 pounds of your tools, your gear in here. Really easy to get at. Slide it with one finger. You can put 100, 200 pounds in here and operate this with one finger. We've put a cast aluminum handle on it. Really easy to operate this with a glove in cold weather with one hand, sort of regardless of the amount of weight that you put inside it. So our pitch is ergonomic storage is just a better way, a better storage solution than other solutions that are on the market. Okay, let's talk about security. The simplest security element to the design of the deck system is your common criminal just can't get access to your stuff. The issue you run into is, depending on the truck series that you have very little space between the edge of the deck system and your tailgate. Therefore, they can't open the drawers and get your stuff out. So if you cannot open the tailgate, your stuff is secure. Obviously, most modern truck series have a good tailgate lock on them. We also sell accessory drawer locks. So you've really got a 3-part solution. One, just functionally, you can't open the drawers. Number 2, you've got the security of a tailgate lock. And third, if you'd like to, you can put locks on each of the drawers. Okay, let's talk about weatherproof. What does weatherproof mean in a deck system? What weatherproof means in a deck system is that rain is not going to get into the drawers and get your stuff wet. That system is fairly elaborate to keep the water out of your drawers, but it's not to say it's absolutely unbeatable. The drawers are not sealed like Tupperware. There's a little gap between the top of the drawer rail and the wheel channel. So anything that's airborne particulate, dust, mist, you can get that really fine. When it's really, really cold and still snowing, you can get basically frozen water vapor. That's not going to get much, but you might get just a little bit at the very edges of the drawer. So be careful about that. Don't throw your stereo in there and then drive through a monsoon and just hope things are going to be great. So just be careful of that. Number 3, the ammo cans, the secondary storage elements that we talked about, those are not waterproof. They have drain edges on them, and when you assemble the system, we tell you it's optional. You can put some drain holes in the bottom of the ammo cans, but these are not waterproof. Lastly, be careful about automatic car washes. Automatic car washes sometimes operate at 15,000 psi. There seems to be 5,000 different varieties of car washes. And then again, because of the geometry, you might have a lot of space, you might not have a little space between the tailgate and the system. That can create that airborne particulate mist, and that can allow some water to get in the drawers, and that'll be an unhappy day for you. So be real careful about car washes. There's nothing about the system that you're going to destroy or damage in a car wash, but test your local car wash before you decide that you want to put your valuables in there and be secure as to what the outcome will be. Okay, so we talked about ergonomics and ease of access to your gear. We talked about security. Another advantage is you still get to use your truck bed. And arguably, from our perspective, the truck bed is actually more useful now than it was when you had the wheel wells to contend with. This is a 6.5-foot deck system. This one's about 71 inches wide, about 75 inches long. In our shorter system, it's still 71 inches wide, about 64 inches deep. It's actually wider than it is deep. Furthermore, the space between the wheel wells that you typically get, that's called the wheelhouse. The distance between the two wheel wells is typically about 48 or 50 inches. So with the deck system, you're all the way to each side, again, supported by this steel, and you arguably have a more useful bed surface, still with the 2,000-pound load rating than you did before you put the deck system in. Okay, so you can also customize your deck system. These dividers come in real handy. 4 of those have a retail price of $20. There's 4 slots in each drawer. You can compartmentalize your drawer for whatever kinds of tools or gear you're trying to accommodate. We've also got a tray that sits in this top ledge here. 2 of those are also $20 and allow you to put smaller items up here and organize your gear more effectively. We talked about accessory locks. The accessory locks replace this cap and just go here. And the beauty of that accessory lock is that the cam actually interfaces with the first lateral steel tube. So you get a nice secure latch between the accessory lock and the deck system structure. And then last but not least, we've got a set of accessory drain plugs for the drawers if you actually want to reverse all that and put ice and beverages into a deck system. The capacity is very high, and you can actually just put a kayak plug in the back of the drawer, the cab side of that drawer, and we only sell that for the short drawer. You wouldn't actually be able to reach it with a long drawer, so be mindful of that. But that's a nice little accessory feature if you plan to do some tailgating.